There we go. We're all set.
All right. So attendance has been noted by the deputy clerk. Number two, we're going to go declarations of conflict of interest. Members of the committee, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest items appearing on the agenda? Seeing none, presentations and delegations, items for consideration. Can I get a mover and a seconder to place all items on the floor? Can I get a mover?
I'll move that.
Jan
Seconded
moved and then Dean seconded.
Sure.
Okay, so Southwest Community Center project revision to phase 2 impact, none. But staff report 2002, 452 Southwest Community Center project revision to phase 2 to be received, and that staff be directed to move forward with phase 2 as detailed and recommended in the report and proceed with the detailed design phase of the project. Are there any discussions on this? Anyone from the city has Indy joined us? I know he doesn't come in camera very often, but
Hi, Chair.
Hey,
I'm here. Yes, I'd like to come on when called upon. I don't want to disrupt the
All
flow
right.
of the committee. But we're happy to give an update if the committee so chooses. If you'd like to receive the report, I'll leave that to you, Chair Allen.
okay. So do we receive the report first or we let you go through it?
I can give a brief overview if you'd like.
Yeah, would you mind?
Sure. So just what brings us here today, we know we had a plan in the reported details, the numerous times we've come through with minor changes to the plan. We did have the design set, but we're working with the school board with their change to move towards an elementary school. They require a little bit more space, and we had an LOU signed between us as well that spoke to the sizing, the 7.2 acres that they require. So this required us to kind of reset phase 2 because there's some requirements for portables, etc. So we readjusted the design to match what phase 3 would require to work with phase 3. But then there's also a resolution passed at council. Actually, last night it was ratified for cricket pitches, and so that spoke to the need for a designated cricket pitch in Brantford, but for staff to look to include it here in Southwest. So as part of the design and the redesign, we've been able to incorporate cricket here. Now we do have the Cricket Association saying that it is a fast growing sport, and there is some literature around that saying that. And so through way of resolutions, we've incorporated cricket pitches here. There is space for a dome structure over top of this field. That's over to the left. I believe you have a drawing attached to your package. And so that soccer field could be domed. There's also room for ball hockey, play equipment, splash pads, and other play equipment on the other side, skate park, as well as the stormwater management that's needed for the site. So there was a field lost in this. You may recall there was 2 football fields. It was reduced to 1 football field, 1 soccer field, and now there is a soccer field and a cricket pitch. So what I would say, phase 1 is obviously on hold right now. I can't talk too much details of that as an in-camera session with council, but it is on hold right now. We are finding other locations for the 4 diamonds that were planned in phase 1. May not be able to find 4, but we do have very good potential for 2 of the 4. One by way of our user fee task force for us to reach out to the church there on Gilkison, as there's a baseball diamond there. So that was another item that we had looked into as part of our user fee task force. So there's an opportunity for any infrastructure loss, or amenities, I should say, lost in the phase 2 redesign to incorporate cricket, that we could look into utilizing some space in phase 1 if and when it it's off hold for us to look into that, because that is a report that we'd want to bring back to this committee once we know the future of phase one. So in essence, what we're asking for here is an approval for this design. We have funding, everything is ready to go, but we do require that this committee adopt this plan so that we can move forward with the detailed design of this plan. And then the school also understands what amenities are there and can be shared as part of their build.
Okay. So can I intervene just with some questions that I have? You know, we started doing this in 2017. We knew that beforehand we had a requirement for baseball diamonds. Nothing's basically transpired from 2017 on. I'm just reading about in May 24th, 2022, that one of the counselors moved a notice for cricket facilities to be implemented in the Southwest Sports Complex. I'm just curious as to how many user groups are represented in cricket in the city of Brantford. Can anybody answer that question?
Yes,
Jen, where's the data that supports it?
Yeah, to you, Chair Allen. Jen does have a little bit of information now. Our rec team, or our parks team is not at the meeting right now, but they did send a note. There are 3 user groups that are seeing their sport growing. There is not a designated cricket field. It's shared at Waterworks Park. So with the growth that's coming, obviously we have designated baseball, soccer, pickleball, tennis, etc. All designated places to play, but cricket does not. So we are seeing that growth. The association has reached out to council for that and for some space that's designated for them. But right now, I believe it's 3, Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 associations that are here and seeing that there is some growth.
Okay. So the reason that,
sorry, I was just confirming.
No, go ahead, Jen.
Andy, through the chair to the group, there are 3 different associations that have approached us, and one of those associations is a provincial league.
So how many user groups do we have in the city of Brantford right now? Like how many teams are utilizing, how many teams would be utilizing this designated facility?
Through the chair, I don't have that information personally. I'm not sure if Andy does, but I can gather that from Rick Cox and get back to you.
Yeah, we can provide that to you, Chair Allen, but I do believe that there are, I want to say 3 leagues that use Waterworks Parks at one time, I believe. Now, I can confirm that through a memo, but I believe that was the number that was provided to council when the resolution was brought forward at COW.
I have a question.
So I confirmed it today with, I confirm, yeah, go ahead. Dean?
Yeah, through the chair. The cricket club in Brantford currently has 2 teams, 22 members. That is it. So 22 members, the city is going to allot a parcel of land to a cricket pitch. What my question is, what do other cities with the size of Brantford, what do they do for cricket? Like what with their numbers and how many pitches do they have? Because to me, the numbers are really low. And if we're going to cater to a group of 22, under 100 even seems like a far stretch to waste the allotment of land on something that's going to be used. How often? When we originally had 4 diamonds on this sports complex, and now we're reduced to 2 because last minute we're throwing in, we're going to throw in this, we're going to throw in that, and we're going to get rid of this. Well, it started based on the need for the diamonds and then the need for the football and the soccer, and now we've reduced all that, and we're adding other things that we have no proven numbers to back. I just don't understand how the city can look at that and say we need to do this. Makes no sense based on the numbers and the user numbers. Like it might be a fast growing sport, but schools are built with what is there today. They don't build for the future. When they build a school's going in here based on the numbers that are there now, not the numbers that are coming. You can't predict the future.
Yeah,
well, not to mention the 4 baseball diamond. Yep.
Sorry, through Chair Allen. Just a couple things there. that the cricket pitch isn't taking over the diamonds. The diamonds in a different field. What we're trying to do is, because the diamonds are on hold, we're actually trying to locate those 4 within the area, so that we actually do have the capacity for baseball, which is on hold right now. So in my summary, that's what I had stated, is that that's what we're looking for. I do understand that in phase 2, things have changed. We did go from 2 football fields to a football field and soccer field, all brought through this committee for approval. And similar to this one, we can take this back. Like I said, we don't have our sports and our parks team on the call right now, so we will take that information, those questions back, and provide some detail to the task force. But again, this was a council direction to staff for us to look at this. Now the committee can also have that option of sending this back and having us relook at it. But again, it will go to council for that I guess redo of the plan, which will then come back to this committee for us to look into. So this was to accommodate that need. Now we can get the information around.
We looked at
cricket.
other cities. Have we looked
Yes.
at what
So
other cities?
Sorry, just to finish the thought, Chair Allen, we can get that information for you and provide that back in a memo.
Okay. Yeah, if you could do that, that would be good. I think, we've seen the changes in the plans, but my thought on it is we haven't even finished the job that we started out on. And that was to create, and I know that we're working towards it, but instead of, and I guess my next question is, every time we make one of these fundamental changes to a plan, what is the dollar value in terms of time for staff that gets eaten up to make these changes? Like, you guys got to go back and redraw this, and
Yeah, that's
go ahead.
to Chair Allen. So there are cost implications, not only staff time, consultant time, but also what we're seeing in the markets in terms of delays to projects. Every month it does cost a certain increase to that project all across the board. So any project that we see that is under design, we're going to have a look at that during our estimates process to bring forward any increases to those costs because of the inflation that we're seeing on all sectors. So yes, it would be the back and forth would be a delay, and we would have to come back with a design. So that would be pushed back probably into September, I would say, to finalize it if we were to go back. However, if we do move forward with this design, which can be ratified in July in council, we'll be striving to get that design completed and move forward on it as soon as we can.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the design that's been presented here, I can't agree to it only because, finding out the information that we did this afternoon about 2 teams that are representing the cricket population in Brantford, in my mind, we can't justify the expense of even installing a dedicated cricket park for 22 guys. I was cordially invited down to play this weekend with them, but it kind of seems strange. So if we could find out or have an amendment or a memo to that effect, I think that would be appropriate for the user groups that were lobbying for the baseball diamonds in the first place. Not only was it 4 now down to 2, but I mean, when we took the 2 away from the Gretzky Center, we still haven't done anything with them. And I think that's kind of how I got involved in this. And here we are this many years later and still nothing's been done. So I apologize if I sound frustrated with it, but I'd like to get this project fixed first. Then cricket in Brantford, it started in 2016. That's when the cricket club began. So if we need to move forward with cricket, then let's do that. But let's finish this project first instead of just implementing a whole bunch of changes. That's my point. Does anybody have any other discussions on this?
Yeah, Chair Allen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just similar, I guess, part of it, just a question to staff and also it's a difficult information to gather, but if there's any indication received in your information that there's a bunch of people from the Southwest or the city of Brantford that are traveling to other communities to utilize cricket fields, because that is one thing that's came up from a standpoint of the need for the baseball diamonds in the past is the number of city residents traveling to county fields or where else. So if there's, as the demographics of the city population are changing, or people traveling to other communities. So I could see a cricket field being important to people feeling they're part of the city of Brantford, but also understand the need for more baseball diamonds. And I see the football fields changing as well, from a standpoint of that, but understanding that there's been a lot of movement in that area, and improvements, that hopefully those groups are more happy than when they were 6, 7, the Gretzky Center times as well, when they lost fields. So.
Well, I also look at the dome. When we look at the dome, the design's changed. You know, when we had talked about this previously, we talked about not only an indoor facility for soccer, but a multi-sport facility with an indoor track and room to play other sports other than just soccer indoors. This one, it just looks like it's soccer only. I think if we're going to build a facility, we need to be able to utilize it for other sports, not just one specifically. I think that that's fiscally responsible. Yeah, so I guess moving forward on this, you know, part of my job here as the chair is to accept this report, but I think we need to send it back and have it amended to finish what we started in the first place. Now, to staff's defense, I mean, you guys were instructed to do this. You went out and did what you were told, but I can't understand why we have implemented a bunch of other things that without doing any research whatsoever to find out that there's only 2 teams in Brantford, but we have to have a dedicated facility for cricket. Makes no sense. I made the call this afternoon. So I don't know what to do here, but I can't say, yeah, I accept the report. Let's go ahead with, you know, finishing the design and implement this plan. Makes no sense to me. So in this discussion, Chris, you know, we're going to call a vote to accept this, but what happens if we don't?
Well, through the chair, if you're looking to kind of push us back and defer the report so that you're able to obtain the relevant information from staff, and then at that point in time make a decision, then I would suggest you move an amendment to defer to a time and place. I'm not too sure if staff have a timeline where they'll feel comfortable receiving all the information and bring back the report. But if that's kind of where you're going with these discussions, then you would need a mover and a seconder to move a deferral of this report to a designated time in the future.
Do you designate the time, or is that designated by staff?
I'll move the
By the
defer.
committee with input from by the committee with input from staff, if staff have a general timeline, which would help perhaps.
Sure.
2 months.
So, yeah, if I can, Chair, speak.
Yeah.
So just, yeah, if we'd like to defer it, that's fine. We can defer that maybe even for 1 cycle. It's really the cricket information that you'd like. So I believe we meet, our set meetings are every 3 months, I believe. So we can defer that for 1 month. If you'd like to call a special meeting within a month, we can also do that, because like I said, it is just that information that you're looking for. But again, I hear the trade-off between cricket and baseball. There is not a trade-off of cricket and baseball is in phase 1 of the diamonds. Now, if you're looking to design diamonds into phase 2, that would also be a design consideration in place of cricket. But it's not a trade-off of 2 diamonds or whatever that we're mentioning that's in phase 1. Phase 1 was 4 diamonds, and right now it's 4 diamonds. It hasn't changed. It's just on hold. But you're right.
No, I
the
believe
soccer
that to be
field,
true.
and the soccer field and football field, yes, those have been shifted for this purpose. And again, it was a recommendation from council that we look to include it in here. We have now included it as an option, and we can look for other locations for a permanent, but this was a regulatory size of cricket in the green space we have left in Brantford. This was kind of one of the only areas without losing another amenity somewhere else to bring that in. So that's just a little bit of justification, but we're happy, sorry, to bring information back, and we can do so in a month's time or on the regular schedule if you so choose.
Can I ask a question before we move forward? And I'm sorry,
Sure.
I'm the new person to the group, and so I don't know about the community engagement that's gone on, but has the community been asked about this field and what they would like to see? Like, has there been any interest from that, or is that something we should be doing to move forward with a field of this sort?
No, we've,
Which field are we talking about, Rob?
The cricket field, like, has this been identified by the community, or have they been asked if it would be used?
To me, we could reach out to the community, and I understand when Ken brought on that are people leaving the community to go and play cricket in other communities because we don't have a facility. If we have 2 teams in Brantford of 22 people, if they're leaving to go play somewhere else, I can understand that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have cricket players from Hamilton that are going to be flooding in here all of a sudden if we have a dedicated cricket field. We have one, it's at Waterworks. This is where I don't understand why we had to take staff away from final plans on whether it's phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3 to redesign something without finishing project number 1. And with no data at all to warrant having these changes in the plan. 22 people. I know it's a growing sport, but nobody did any homework on this at all before we said, oh, okay, we're going to take time out of staff to redesign this without checking.
I think 22 people could speak to a lack of availability to play the sport possibly. It could speak to the fact that we haven't embraced the sport in the city, so that's why we're not seeing the interest. And to get down to Waterworks Park and you're getting baseballs hit at you, it's not always the most conducive to playing the sport either. And those fields aren't very well maintained either. So you likely would be seeing people leaving the community to play on a better field that's safer and maintained. Not to say our city staff aren't doing the best they can. It's just that field, I've seen it. It's overgrown and the baseball players there play quite well and can hit the ball that far on a regular basis. It's not safe. So a dedicated space where it's safe to play would likely be used increasingly and grow the sport in the city, and would result in the higher numbers that we're expecting.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but cricket is played on Friday night and there are no Friday night games down at Waterworks. So it's not a safety issue with the softball players interfering with the cricket players. So you can't, there's no possible way you can use both. If there's a permit that's held by the cricket players, then the baseball players aren't allowed to be on that pitch.
That makes complete sense. Perfect. Thank you for clearing that up.
Any other discussion? Okay, so I'd like to have somebody move to defer this.
I will make that motion to move to defer this report.
Can I have a seconder?
I second.
Thanks, Ron. Chris, did you get that?
Yeah, do you have a timeline?
Yes, I'd like to do it in a month, please. We could get the information within a month. We'll discuss the meeting time at a later date offline. So there's no other resolutions? No
So
other
Jay,
notices of motion? Yep,
Jay,
go
now
ahead.
the deferral's on the floor. We just have to vote on whether or not the committee wants to defer this item.
All right, so can we have a vote on the floor to defer this item? All in favor? I have 3.
And then those against, right?
And those against?
So that carries 3-2.
Okay. All right, no other notices of motion. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Can I have it seconded? Jan? Okay, thanks, everybody. We'll be in touch in a month's time when the information is available to us. Thanks for your time, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.